Major developments in the fight to free Adnan Syed, the court ruling that's reinstating his murder conviction. What the latest twist in this world-famous case means.
People don't like what's going on and don't like the way it unfolded.
Baltimore will no longer be the site to treat toxic waste from the Ohio train derailment. The massive bipartisan pushback bringing results for residents.
Thousands return to those who need it most. Coming up next, find out about the governor's new plan to reimburse stolen SNAP benefits.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Fox 45 News at 6 starts right now with the exclusive Fox Track Your Baltimore Minute.
Police say they responded to the 1200 block of West Fayette after an Uber driver was carjacked. The driver told police they were cut off by a silver sedan when two armed suspects exited the car with guns and ordered the victim out of their vehicle. Police say the victim was assaulted before the suspects took off with their car.
33 members of a criminal enterprise accused of trafficking drugs like heroin, fentanyl, and cocaine and committing acts of violence, including attempted murder, indicted. The Maryland Attorney General heading today's announcement.
The criminal organization used drug sales, firearms, violence, the threat of violence.
This week, Governor Wes Moore announced reimbursements for victims whose benefits were stolen. The state says the stolen benefits should be reimbursed within 15 days or less.
I checked it and I almost jumped for joy, like, Lord, thank you, because I really thought I wasn't going to get it back.
Adnan Syed's murder conviction has been reinstated by the Appellate Court of Maryland, and a new hearing has been ordered. This all happened today. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost joins us with the latest on this case. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Mary, that's right. This 2-1 opinion decision from the court says the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office under Marilyn Mosby violated the rights of the victim's family when Adnan Syed's convictions were vacated. The appeals court heard the case back in February when young Lee, the brother of the victim, Heyman Lee, argued he wasn't given enough notice to participate in that hearing. Here's a portion of the ruling. It says, quote, the state's attorney should not be allowed to thwart those rights in the way that happened in this case. The no pros entered under the circumstances of this case violated Mr. Lee's right to be treated with dignity and respect. Now, I just spoke with Mr. Lee's attorney, Steve Kelly. Kelly says the Lee family is hopeful and is grateful for the system.
He just wants to get to the answers, if whoever did this, if it was Adnan or if it wasn't Adnan, the family just wants answers. They want to know, and they think the public deserves to know. It should be done publicly and transparently.
Now, because this entire ruling is essentially on pause for 60 days, Syed will not be taken back into custody. The ruling gives everyone time to figure out really what comes next. Erica Suter, Syed's attorney, says they believe Mr. Lee's rights were not violated, adding his attendance over Zoom they believe was appropriate. Suter says they will be taking this case to the Maryland Supreme Court for review to continue to fight for Syed. Suter's statement continues, saying there is no basis for re-traumatizing Adnan by returning him to the status of a convicted felon. For the time being, Adnan remains a free man. We remain optimistic that justice will be done. Ensuring justice for Heyman Lee does not require injustice for Adnan. Now, City State's Attorney Evan Bates' office says they are reviewing the latest ruling and will let the appeals process play out. Mary?
Mackenzie, thank you. The Syed case goes back more than 20 years. It started in 1999 with the murder of 18-year-old Heyman Lee, Adnan's ex-girlfriend. He was convicted of her murder. In 2014, the Serial podcast brought Syed's case to a global audience, raising doubt about that conviction. Last September, City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby moved to vacate Syed's conviction because of new DNA evidence in the case. The Lee family has been appealing that decision since, saying prosecutors in the court violated victims' rights, giving Lee's brother short notice of the hearing in September. And that brings us to our question of the day. Do you believe Baltimore's justice system functions properly? The poll opened at last hour. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in. And there are also developments in Marilyn Mosby's trial tonight after a prosecutor on her case gets demoted. Leo Wise is no longer head of the Fraud and Public Corruption Unit for the Maryland U.S. Attorney's Office. Now, despite this demotion, Wise is still working on the Mosby case. The former city state's attorney's trial for perjury and lying on a loan application is set to begin in November.
Tonight, police in Nashville, Tennessee have released body camera video in yesterday's deadly school shooting. It shows their officers approaching the 28-year-old suspected shooter and the moments leading up to the point where she was killed. And we want to warn you, this video is disturbing. Officers Rex Engelbert and Michael Colazzo were part of that team that responded to the school. They fired the shots that killed the shooter. Now, the team entered the building and tactically cleared classrooms before locating the 28-year-old suspect on the second floor. Police say 14 minutes had passed from the time the call came in to help to the time the shooter was killed. Police say the 28-year-old was a former student who studied the building's layout and thoroughly planned this attack. 3 children, all aged 9, were killed, and 3 adults were also killed. So far, no motive is known. Mary?
Kai, thank you. Updating some breaking news we first brought you today at 4. A Baltimore officer and civilian are in the hospital after a BPD cruiser crashed on West Lafayette Avenue this afternoon. The mangled police car had jumped the curb from the force of the crash. BPD tells us their officer was on the way to assist other officers on a call. We're told the injuries are not life-threatening, but the investigation into who's responsible for this crash still in the early stages.
We are unequivocally opposed to this action.
If I have to stand in front of the train to stop it, I'll do it.
It is really unfortunate that the EPA and the Biden administration would do this with so little communication.
Toxic water from that massive train derailment in Ohio will not be coming to Baltimore. Just last week, Clean Harbors announced it would be treating 675,000 gallons of the toxic water from that train derailment. But after facing a unified front from state and city leaders, and in the county as well, they have changed their plans. In a statement sent to Fox 45, the company writing in part, quote, "While we are confident that our Baltimore facility is safe to handle and process that waste, as we have made clear from the beginning of this process, we would only be moving forward with the approval of all federal, state, and local regulators." Here's reaction from Congressman Kwesi Mfume.
The bottom line here was the profit motive. And as long as we continue to put people over profit and people over politics, we'll find a way to push back against things like this. And I hope that the Environmental Protection Agency, who I'm sure have some very good people working there, will at least see it in their best interest to make sure you talk to communities before you put things into communities that are not wanted.
We'll stay with Fox 45 News for continuing coverage. We'll pass any new developments right here on the air and, of course, online at Fox Baltimore. Taking a look now at the Fox Quad Box. One person suffered serious injuries in a fire in East Baltimore. 5 row homes caught fire on East Oliver Street. The FBI now offering a $20,000 reward for any information that leads to an arrest of Roy McGrath. He's a former chief of staff for former Governor Larry Hogan, missing since failing to appear for his fraud trial earlier this month. Harford County officials say an art teacher at Aberdeen Middle School is on administrative leave after an inappropriate video circulated among students on Snapchat. The school system is working with police to contact students involved. No charges for the officers involved in the shooting death of 44-year-old Joseph Sherrill. Officers were attempting to arrest him when he launched at them while holding a knife. The state continues to investigate. Well, for months, Fox 45 News has received calls from Marylanders who had their electronic benefits transferred or EBT card benefits stolen. But this week, Governor Wes Moore announced the state will be reimbursing the benefits that were stolen. Olivia Danst has more on how the process works.
The process is pretty simple, and I'm going to show you how to get started. First, you want to visit the Maryland Department of Human Services website. This is their home page, and on their front page, you'll see this where it says, click here to get back stolen EBT benefits. You want to click there. It will redirect you to this page, and if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see click here to file a claim. Once you click on that, you want to say, I agree. And this is the first part of the form, so you want to fill that out. And we spoke with some victims of the fraud who are relieved to finally have the chance to be reimbursed.
Tambria Taylor is a mother of 4 and has relied on SNAP benefits since last summer. But in December,
then I saw that someone had withdrew all of my money.
Her benefits for the month were stolen.
I really took a big hit with my BG&E, with my rent.
And it happened again in February.
I was very upset. I was more frustrated when I tried to get it resolved, and I was told that pretty much there was nothing that they can do about it.
But this week, Governor Wes Moore announced reimbursements for victims whose benefits were stolen.
Hopefully the state does what it says it's going to do.
Lisa Crow is another Baltimore resident who had her electronic benefits transfer, or EBT, stolen.
They asked for the amount stolen, which was about $360.
As soon as she found out about the reimbursements, she immediately went online to fill out the form. The first page asks for your case or client ID or your social security number. The next page asks questions about how the benefits were stolen. And finally, you need to sign the form before submitting.
It's pretty simple.
The state says the stolen benefits should be reimbursed within 15 days or less.
I checked it and I almost jumped for joy, like, Lord, thank you, because I really thought I wasn't going to get it back.
The state reached out to Tambria last week. She filled out the form immediately, and her benefits were reimbursed within days.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Marylanders whose benefits were stolen between October 1st, 2022 and February 28th, 2023 must complete the reimbursement form no later than May 31st. For thefts occurring on or after March 1st, claims must be filed within 45 days of discovering the benefits were stolen.
A sign of great relief.
Both Lisa and Tambria tell me they finally feel a sense of relief, but they worry their benefits will be stolen again, so they hope in the future the state makes their system more secure. For now, reporting in Baltimore, I'm Olivia Dance, Fox 45 News.
With not a whole lot of wind and rain lately, well, our cherry blossoms are still going strong down in D.C. They're in peak bloom, so we're going to be headed down that way. It looks like just a couple of clouds and temperatures up near 60 tomorrow. Not bad. I'll let you know when the rain does get here, though. My Weather Authority forecast.
Now, a Fox 45 News Alert in 3, 2, 1.
Beginning in the next 15 minutes, there will be a vigil for a beloved boxer from Mount Vernon in Baltimore. Friends and family of Ernest Hall will gather at the Lightning Quick Gym, where he was coaching the next generation of athletes. It was early last Thursday when he was caught in a hail of gunfire in West Baltimore. Hall was one of 6 people shot. He was the only one who doctors were not able to save. Now, Fox 45 will stream this vigil on our website, foxbaltimore.com, when it begins at 6:30. As for who killed Ernest Hall, well, police need your help. Metro Crime Stoppers is offering an $8,000 reward in this case. Mary?
Thank you. Taking a look now at the Fox box, a federal judge says Mike Pence has to testify before a grand jury investigating the January 6th Capitol attack. At issue are conversations Pence had with former President Donald Trump leading up to the riot. 39 migrants are dead after a fire inside a Mexican immigration facility. According to Mexico's president, the migrants started the fire in protest after they learned they would be deported. Another 29 were injured. It's day 10 of protests in Paris over plans to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64. There are no signs from the government to walk back the proposal. Vice President Kamala Harris is on day 2 of a visit to Ghana today. She toured Cape Coast Castle, where millions of enslaved Africans were held before being brought to the Americas. Her week-long visit will take her to Tanzania and Zambia later this week. Federal banking regulators getting some tough questions from Congress today. It is about the recent bank failures and whether there were red flags that should have tipped them off. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar reports from Capitol Hill.
2.5 weeks after 2 bank failures shook the nation's confidence in the American banking system, explanations for how and why are more clear. Lawmakers of both parties say it's plain and simple, banking 101.
They took more risk by buying assets with higher yields to make higher profits. When those investments started to lose money, they didn't back down.
The warning signs should have been flashing red.
Regulators from the FDIC, Treasury, and Federal Reserve in the hot seat. Why didn't they act on those warning signs?
There was never an enforcement action that sort of forced the bank to clean up its act.
The Fed started flagging concerns about SVB's interest rate risk and liquidity risk in November of 2021, but says the bank waited too long to address them, and the full scope of its issues wasn't clear until it was too late.
Chairman Gruenberg, let me turn to you.
Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren pressing regulators to use their existing authority to apply stronger prudential standards on banks with assets between $100 billion and $250 billion, a range that applied to both SVB and Signature Bank before they failed.
What's your impression of why they're not doing that? Now, I feel really frustrated with our regulators. They clearly fell down on the job, and it's pretty tough to admit how wrong they got it.
Now all 3 witnesses agree on a need for stronger regulation.
We, of course, would need to go through a notice and comment rulemaking in this process, but I anticipate the need to strengthen capital and liquidity standards.
Consensus, too, on who bears ultimate responsibility.
The stupidity, the negligence, maybe the gross negligence of the management of the banks.
More answers about the bank collapses coming May 1st when regulators release a report on what their investigations uncovered.
Meetings adjourned.
On Capitol Hill, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
Fox Triplecast this afternoon showing some extra clouds in the skies of Towson as well as over the Inner Harbor on the Mile 1 Towson Cam and the Toyota Ace Inner Harbor Skycam. HD radar. Latest weather maker down to our south. There's actually another one that's to our north. We've been kind of wedged in clouds between the two. Mile 1 Towson Cam, there are those grayer skies, 55, mostly cloudy, winds out of the northwest at 8. Almost a kind of autumnal feel, or really kind of smack dab right in the middle of spring feel, maybe even more of an early spring feel. The temperatures low to mid 50s right now. We're cooler than we were yesterday by about 5 degrees across the area. There are those extra clouds wafting from the west, keeping most temperatures across the state in the 50s, even some 40s out west. HD radar showing 2 weather makers, one north, One down to the south. That southern one going to get uncomfortably close tonight. That maybe Anne Arundel County, south of Baltimore, especially down towards D.C. Could see a couple of showers with this. Then that skirts off east and some cool air sets up as we head into the remainder of the midweek. I think showers gone by tomorrow. Little front comes through tomorrow night into Thursday. Not going to really impact us very much, although Thursday again will be a cooler day. So the future scan as we head through the overnight hours tonight, there are your rain showers that are south of the city. By about midnight or shortly thereafter, they're gone. And then clearing skies for tomorrow. Look at that sunshine into tomorrow afternoon, 55 to 60. 37 for tonight, back up to about 64 tomorrow. Your exclusive 10-day forecast, 60 on Wednesday, 52. Chilly Thursday, warming up nicely by Saturday, but some rain there. And it looks like we're up near 60, or near 70, well into next week.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Caught on camera, Utah viewer Corey Clausen captured one of many avalanches taking place across the state. This happened not far from Ogden, north of Salt Lake City. Monday night ended with this magnificent sunset driving into Conway, South Carolina, and Tuesday started with an equally spectacular sunrise, complete with crepuscular rays along Alabama's Gulf Coast.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
I'm Angela Brown in Washington, D.C. You may have seen the social media clips, customers complaining that tipping is everywhere from fast food restaurants, even on a $1 bottle of water. Coming up, we have the receipts on how America is responding.
Frustration is growing over a practice some say is getting out of hand. Customers are complaining about tipping at places they never have had to tip at before. The National Desk's Angela Brown explains.
Well, we're not talking about tipping at fine dining restaurants or even hair salons, but at a cafe after buying a $3 black coffee. A new report found more quick service restaurants like Starbucks now give customers the option to tip. Today, we have the receipts to find out how Americans are responding. You may have seen the video of people going off on social media splattered across the news.
I will be ordering from a kiosk, and the kiosk asked me if I want a tip. Why am I needing to tip?
Customers complaining about tip creep at fast food restaurants, cafes, places they never tipped before.
I feel like during the thick of COVID, people were really, or business rather, were really demanding tips or including it even. So
a new report from Toast, a digital tech platform service for restaurants, found that credit cards, digital tips are up 11% for fast food restaurants.
You put your card in and then the cashier flips that tablet around and it's like, whoa, do you want to tip 15% or 20 or 25?
Ted Rossman from Bankrate is tracking new digital tipping trends and says it's not all good.
Sometimes it leads businesses to pay their staff less and they're expecting customers to make up the difference.
Pre-entered tip amounts gaining steam during the pandemic. The service industry struggling, and digital payments took off.
Someone, like, for example, giving you the food you just ordered, like if they're serving you in some way, then I feel like a tip is required.
I usually always hit like, I don't know, 18, 20 or something like that.
But overall, people may be tipping less. Toast says tipping percentage in the fourth quarter of 2022 hit 15.9%, down from 16.4% in 2021.
I think it makes more sense to tip for a taxi ride or a ride share than it does for a food truck pickup or at the coffee shop.
Etiquette experts recommend tipping on ride shares as well as food and beverages at dine-in restaurants. When it comes to fast food and cafes, they say that's a personal choice. In Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
Well, that's all for Fox 45 News at 6. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. Good night.